together very, very loudly for our eminent judges that are here with us. And we're very, very honored to have here amidst us as our chairperson, Honorable Justice Irene C. Mambilivina, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Zambia. So this is the Chief Justice sitting right in front of you. How lucky you are. All those who, my compliments to all those who went on Sunday seminars, because you actually have a sitting Chief Justice here with you, who will be taking in our question answer session after we are done with the speeches. We also have with us Honorable Mr. Justice G.P. Sood, former Judge, Himachal Pradesh High Court of India. So let's clap very, very loudly for Honorable Justice Sood. I was told earlier that the children, students actually, wanted more time with the judiciary to have an interactive session. So without further ado, ideally I should have waited for Honorable Justice Dr. Virginia from the Tribunal Court of Italy. But what we'll do in the meanwhile, we'll start the session so as to optimize on the time, right? And when the Honorable Justice Dr. Virginia joins us, we will have her speech later on. As you all know, for the conference room number 6, the theme is sustainable development. And simply it means that sustainable development means having a balance between nature and development. As simple as that. There is enough for everyone's need, but not to accommodate everyone's greed. And in its literal definition, it means that we should be able to meet our needs today without compromising on the ability of the future generations to meet their needs. We should take from nature only what the nature can replenish itself with. Otherwise, what will happen, we'll exhaust all the resources, and then there'll be nothing left. So that is why sustainable development is so very important. And may I now request our chairperson, Honorable Ms. Justice Irene C. Mambilivina, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Zambia, to kindly address the students. Ma'am, you could do it from there.
Thank you. Good afternoon once again. Let's get this out of the way. What do I call you? Moderator or?
Manju, simple.
Okay. But your task now is to moderate this session.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me thank the organizers of this conference for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon. In the morning, I addressed the plenary on the topic building a safe and secure future for our 2 billion children of the world and generations yet to be born. This was to the 16th International Conference of CJs of the world.
The Italian Constitution does not permit.
Detta che l'Italia ripudia la guerra.
The Italian Constitution does not permit the war as the instrument for the freedom of the other people and as a medium of resolving the international controversies.
L'unico tipo di guerra ammesso è la legittima difesa.
And it only permits as to defend ourselves. If the Italy government or Italy Constitution use the instrument just for the defend.
Per respingere un attacco armato che minacci l'indipendenza dell'Italia. Vabbè, okay.
Sì.
Tale principio, tale carta costituzionale,
this notion, it seems to be very simple problem.
dove sei?
So qui?
No.
Take your time.
Okay.
Okay.
Manisha, you have time, take 18-15 minutes.
Dove sei qui?
Ok, sì. Importante anche la dichiarazione sul diritto dei popoli alla pace.
And further steps forward was taken with the Declaration on the Right of People to Peace, adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on November 12,
che sottolinea che
which guarantee the exercise of the right of people to peace.
È indispensabile che la politica degli Stati
And it is essential, necessary that the political of state should try to eliminate
tenda all'eliminazione delle minacce di guerra,
of the threat of war, especially the nuclear energy, the abandonment of use of force in international relations, and the peaceful settlement of international disputes on the basis of character of the United Nations.
Questa è una visione riduttiva del problema.
This notion seems to be a very simpler problem.
Grazie a Gandhi
Thanks to Gandhi,
si è fatta strada l'idea di una pace positiva.
we have a way to have an idea of positive peace.
La pace
The peace,
è molto più che l'accordo tra governi.
it's not just but more than the result of accordance between the government and the powerful people.
Non è quindi la forma di governo che garantisce la pace.
Says Gandhi, it is not just the form of government which guarantees the peace, but the behavior of the people and their selections as well.
Essa è garantita dal comportamento e dalle scelte degli individui.
And it is guaranteed by the selection and the behavior of the people,
Che insieme costituiscono il comportamento e le scelte di un popolo.
which all together constitutes all the behaviors.
Quindi dalla vostra futura scelta e dai vostri futuri comportamenti dipenderà anche per questo la pace.
So your future behavior and your future's mode of selection will guarantee the peace.
Educare se stessi alla cultura della pace
Educate themselves to the culture of peace
è il dovere di tutti coloro che,
and the responsibility which all we have,
nelle varie forme culturali associative,
will contribute to the various associative and cultural forming of society,
esprimono una volontà
which explains the desire
di contribuire alla costruzione della pace nel mondo.
and will contribute to the construction of the peace of the world.
Il Congresso internazionale sulla pace,
The International Congress of the Peace on the Peace
in Costa d'Avorio,
in Costa d'Avorio
ha raccomandato
has recommended
di lavorare per costruire una nuova visione della pace
and will work to construct the new vision to have peace
basata sui valori di rispetto per la vita,
based on the respect for the life and for the liberty,
della libertà,
for the liberty,
della giustizia,
for the justice,
della solidarietà,
for the solidarity,
della tolleranza,
the tolerance,
dei diritti umani e dell'uguaglianza tra uomo e donna.
for the human rights and the equality between the men and women.
La pace esiste
The peace exists
quando sono tutti liberi
when all we are free
di sviluppare se stessi nel mondo che desiderano.
The peace exists when all we are free to develop themselves in the world in which we want, without fighting for our proper rights,
Senza dover lottare per i propri diritti. Per questo l'Italia si è schierata
and for this reason Italy has started
apertamente contro l'utilizzo dei bambini soldato.
to fight against the use of kid as a soldier.
L'Assemblea Generale delle Nazioni Unite
The General Assembly
ha approvato il protocollo
has approved the protocol
che ha elevato la tutela fino a 18 anni
on the involvement of the children in armed conflict
e ha vietato il servizio di leva
and it's
militare. Vabbè.
and which prohibited the service of children as a soldier.
La mancata protezione dei bambini
Failure to protect the children
dall'utilizzo da parte di gruppi armati,
from using the armed,
ostacola
stops
l'istruzione primaria universale,
the primary school,
la riduzione della mortalità infantile,
the death of small children,
la lotta contro l'AIDS.
and stops the war against HIV. Okay.
Aiuta in tal senso l'UNICEF,
And UNICEF, it promotes
programmi di reinserimento
the programs of protecting the children,
per i bambini utilizzati da eserciti,
children from using as armed soldiers,
proteggere i bambini dalla violenza,
and even from the sexual violence,
e in particolare della violenza sessuale che ha come obiettivo le ragazze.
from the sexual violence as well.
Concludo
Concluding.
nel invitarvi in tal senso, cibatevi della cultura,
Thanks to CMS and the children,
e la pace anche grazie a voi potrà essere garantita.
that would be guaranteed for sure thanks to CMS and the students.
Grazie.
The peace in the world.
Thank you, Honorable Justice Dr. Virginia. And since we'll just take questions because may I know the name of the translator, please?
Manisha.
Manisha. So before you go down, we just translate that for ma'am that would she take a question or two from the children?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Any questions? Because we will not be able to take questions from Dr. Virginia later because the translator needs to be in one of the rooms and we only have one Italian translator. So children, if you want to ask Dr. Virginia any questions, Justice from Italy, please raise your hand. Yes. Could we have the mic, please? I think we're not. Go ahead, speak. That's okay. Maybe the translator. Go ahead, we'll ask. Come.
Okay. And Dr.
Are there any steps taken to
You can say it from here. You can say it from here. Why don't you ask the question from here then? Because you need not. You're showing your back to the audience. You just ask the question from here.
Are there any steps taken to form an international institution to check the misuse of natural resources, and if not, can the jurisdiction do anything about it?
Can you repeat?
Are there any steps taken to form an international institution to check the misuse of natural resources, and if not, can the jurisdiction do anything about it?
Dalla guerra? Quelle risorse naturali. No, ma non è una risorsa naturale, qui stiamo parlando dell'altro.
He asked about the natural resources, no? To protect.
Yes. Are there any laws to protect it, and if not, enforceable environmental laws to check the misuse?
This is not regarding any natural resources.
I know. That's just the question.
È solo una domanda, no? Riguardo questo.
A livello internazionale?
Sì, a livello internazionale per proteggere i naturali risorsi che avete fatto qualcosa per proteggere.
Sì, certo. Sì, a livello internazionale l'Unione Europea interviene in questo senso, inizialmente l'Italia, ma adesso in Europa l'Italia si confronta con i paesi europei.
All together with European Union and other countries have taken measures.
Are they enforceable?
Applicabili, sì, è chiaro, applicabili.
What you wanted is already been answered. Right? Any other question? One.
many types of garbages is created every day. And there is no proper disposal of waste, such as e-waste, hospital waste. My question is to Honorable Justice of Italy, is there is any stern law for proper disposal of certain types of waste?
The hospital waste,
E-waste.
Sì, in Italia esistono diverse normative penali che puniscono questi comportamenti. Esistono
Yes,
delle
it
norme
exists
anche in
in it.
Italia, oltre che a livello internazionale, esistono delle norme che puniscono penalmente i comportamenti illeciti.
Yes, in Italy it exists, and there are people who still work, and it is in the law. It is lawfully applicable
Tutelare l'ambiente
to protect the ambience,
significa tutelare la salute delle persone.
which means to protect the health.
Per questo è previsto una pena elevata in Italia.
Okay, so it is very important in Italy. So it is applicable, and there is a law also to protect it.
My question is that how can the sustainable development goals go beyond global aspirations to become part of the vision of each inhabitant of the planet for a better life and united community?
L'aiuto che può determinare a livello internazionale, globale. L'aiuto, la politica ambientale determina un vantaggio, ripeto, sulla persona, quindi sulla salute, ma anche un vantaggio economico.
It is not just beneficial to the health, but also to the economy. It is.
We thank Honorable Justice Dr. Virginia from the Tribunal de Regno Celebrezza, Italy. Thank you so very much, ma'am. And may I request the translator to go downstairs, and thank you for your questions. Thank you for the questions.
And
We will take questions for the Honorable Justice Irene C.
Thank
Mavliwa,
you.
Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Zambia now. Any questions for the Chief Justice of Zambia we have with us? Children, it is your chance to ask questions. Okay, one by one we're going to ask the Honorable Chief Justice. Please.
My question is that increased flow of goods, services, capital and labor within existing structure and processes benefit only some at the expense of many. How can we reconceptualize the nature and purpose of work, wealth and empowerment to develop individually and to contribute to the betterment of the society? Increased flow of goods, services, capital and labor within existing structures and processes benefit only some at the expense of many. How can we reconceptualize the nature and purpose of work, wealth and empowerment to develop individually and to contribute to the betterment of the society?
Increased flow of goods, services, capitals within existing structure benefit only some. Same thing what you had said earlier.
Yes, it benefits only some, those who take the plunge to involve in this kind of activities. But I think in the context of sustainable development, we are saying that these activities must be cognizant or alive to their responsibility to the environment, to the neighbor, and so forth. So if you are a manufacturer, of goods, obviously you'll be needing capital to put up your factories to produce those goods. But in that factory, you must have processes which do not harm the environment. You should not harm the environment. So if your waste goes to the river, somebody will drink from the river, they will get sick. If you have to transport your goods to the market, you are going to use your vehicle, and if that vehicle is smoking, it will pollute the environment. So it's really at every stage. You as an individual within the legal framework of your country are free to carry out any activity that you are allowed by law. But in carrying out that activity, you must ensure that you do not pollute the environment. You look at your neighbor so that nobody is harmed. Because if you are careless, then the water in the river, nobody will be able to drink. Your air, because your vehicle is so unacceptable that it's using bad oil, it will pollute the environment. The person who is not connected with you will breathe that air and develop a disease. So this is the care and responsibility that you have as a citizen in whatever you do.
My question is to Honorable Justice of Zambia. Ma'am, during your speech you mentioned world is not safe as it was. So what can we do to make it as safe as it was?
But if we knew then what we know now, is that your question?
Yes. Ma'am, you just mentioned in your speech,
Uh-huh.
world is not safe as it was.
Oh, okay.
So
Yes.
what can we do to make it again as safe as it was?
Oh, I see. Well, yes. Yes, indeed. It was not safe as it was. I think there used to be a time when the world was much safer. But now we know that the superpowers, it has come out, they are keeping so many nuclear weapons, which if they detonate today, we are all gone. It's not as safe as it was. Then you have the actions of multinational companies with their harmful practices. When they come to our part of the world, which for lack of a better term is called the third world, I don't know where is the second, but there's the third world, the same companies will come to our countries with different standards from what they have in their own countries, not looking after the environment. In fact, this is the thing I talked about, the incident you had here in India, the Union Carbide. It happened in India. It has never happened where the Union Carbide comes from. So what safety measure did they put in place in India to kill so many people? So these are the things we are saying. The world is not as safe, but the question you say is, what can we do now to make it safer? I think now we need to bring in place the people who are responsible for making policies must ensure that they regulate whatever industrial activities there, that it doesn't pollute the environment. You regulate what a car can emit. I think for those of you listening to the international news, you have heard of the VW saga, that now the VW cars are in trouble because they concealed that these cars are emitting more than what they said they are emitting. So we need to bring in place policies to make sure that our environment is safe. We need, where we can, to make sure that our agricultural policies preserve the land. But sadly, I must admit, there is some damage which is irreversible. We just have to live with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Judge of Zambia, Chief Justice of Zambia, my question is, we consider Africa as a dark continent. We say that its resources are still not utilized and found. So for sustainable development, first, there should be, usage of resources. So what steps have been taken by your country, Zambia, to just see and look over your resources?
Yes, Africa, we still have a lot of our natural resources which are still untapped. But there are some of us who are doing those mining activities and so forth. So speaking for Zambia, I think when we realize this problem later on, we now have a very active Environmental Council of Zambia. You cannot undertake any project without the Environmental Council of Zambia making an environmental impact assessment. If you do not get an EIA report, you will not get a license to do any industrial activity. So what I'm saying is that if we had known then, we should have had this kind of body much earlier. Then we could have avoided a lot of the things which are happening today. So there's a lot which is regulated now. In terms of waste, you cannot just ban things. You cannot just do what you want. So there's a lot of regulation on what you can do. So that way it's mitigating, but we still have quite a lot of pristine bush which is unpolluted and which we hope to protect from now onwards.
So is this the reason why there's no industrial development in Zambia? Because it's not, it doesn't want to use its resources and want to affect the environment.
Exploit its resources. It wants to use it but not
Exploit its resources.
Well, we have copper which we have exploited so much that I don't know how much of it is remaining down there. But we do have a few industries coming up. But now there's a lot of regulation of those who are coming. But you must know that the issue of investment and whatever, it's a bigger problem going with the political climate and so forth. And as developing countries, we are weaker. People come, they arm twist you. But my point is that we should just stand our ground, if at all it is to maintain the sustainable development, that our country must be safe for future generations. Thank you.
I would like to address the Honorable Chief Justice from Zambia and India. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. These days we see that people are giving up on farming as their occupation and are opting for jobs in other fields. This might hamper the amount of production of food. How can this problem be solved?
You are saying farming is the only occupation?
No, ma'am, no, ma'am.
People are leaving farming and they're going to other jobs.
Okay.
So will that not affect the food production in the country or in the countries at large?
I think it can. It can affect the production of food because our food is 100% from farming. And when people leave farming to come into cities or for whatever reason, it means that if you have a deficit of food, you have to import the food. And that is not a good scenario. So what remains is for the policymakers to put in place policies which can attract people back to the land. Because it's possible for the policymakers to put in place policies which can attract people back to the land. Tax incentives, maybe assistance with the farm machines and that kind of thing, back to the land. So it has to do with the political power. But otherwise, you are right. If everybody left farming to come into town or for whatever reason, definitely the food basket will be affected. And the end result is that you are going to import, which is undesirable.
Ma'am, like in India, the climate is very erratic. We have uneven rainfall. Sometimes we have droughts. Like this year, ma'am, we had lots of droughts, and all of a sudden we had a lot of rainfall. So, ma'am, these are some things which cannot be controlled. And then, ma'am, many farmers committed suicide.
Yeah.
So knows the best.
They cannot be controlled. Even in Africa, we have drought. Once you have drought, it's severe drought, because the farmers look to the sky to do the farming. So if the rain fails, the crop fails. Again, it goes to the people in power running the affairs of the state. There must be another way of growing crops rather than waiting for the rain. Do we harvest the rainwater? Do we have water conservation? So it's those in power to put in place all these policies. But there could be a time when, despite your best efforts, the drought will still be there. And for most farmers, they borrow in order to grow. So when the crop fails, then you have such incidents where somebody commits suicide. So farming is a risky area, but it's the policy makers to put in place mitigating, let me call them mitigating factors, so that you don't solely rely on the rain. I'm talking like of Zambia. We have a lot of rain. If you look at Southern Africa, we have 40% of the water in the SADC region, but we do get drought. And when the rain comes, nobody thinks of harvesting the rain. Now we are thinking about it because of the drought that we had. But this calls for huge investments which an individual alone cannot do. So what the government has come up with is to have farm blocks where you can put reservoirs, canals, and that kind of thing. So again, the state power has to come in.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Not possible until we eliminate poverty from this world. What steps have you taken to eliminate poverty in your country?
What steps have you taken to eliminate poverty from your country?
Allora, la nostra Carta Costituzionale, all'articolo 3, si prefigge quale obiettivo... Prefigge quale obiettivo di eliminare la povertà, consentendo attraverso degli interventi normativi specifici di fare in modo che tutti i soggetti possano godere dei diritti, di tutti i diritti riconosciuti dalla Carta Costituzionale.
You had the chance to listen. Okay, not in question. You had the chance to listen someone speaking in Italian also. Well, she said that we have constitution. Our constitution has an article, a specific article, which is Article 3, that set the principle of equality between everybody. But it is not only a formal principle, because the Constitution set also the obligation of the state to remove any obstacle for that leads to that could impede the effective equality for everybody.
It's in the Constitution itself. There are provisions in the Constitution itself.
Yes, the Constitution itself.
Thank you, Dr. Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you, Tia.
Mutual interdependence. So thank you for that. May I now request our Honorable Justice D.P. Sood, former Judge, Himachal Pradesh High Court, India, to kindly address the children.
You take that one. Okay.
Honorable the Chairperson, my respected colleagues, respected ladies and gentlemen, as also children. I feel immense pleasure to be here amongst you to just apprise you about the aspects of this environment as also sustainable development. When we look at all what are happening in the world today, one thing that strikes us is that circumstances are forcing people, communities and nations to do things they do not want to do. The consequences of that are tragic. Gentle souls become stone-hearted. The honest become corrupt. The simple-minded become cynical. Women are forced into prostitution. Youth take to crime or subversion. Long-time environmental concerns are brushed aside for short-term material gains. That is the basic, what you call, reason behind all these things. Values are ditched for the sake of expediency, and moral compromises are justified as necessity. At the international level, hostile neighbors and adverse geographical circumstances are forcing even peace-loving nations into arms race. That is what is happening nowadays. This is the reason why India, the land from where the message of non-violence spread to the rest of the world, maintains the fourth largest army in the world and has acquired nuclear weapons now. That is a sort of threat to the others. If you strike me, I'll strike you. The logic of any arms race is that one should have more or better weapons than his enemy. It leads the participants to a ruinous path on which nations expend their vital resources at the expense of economic development and a better quality of life for the citizens. This is one of the reasons why poor are becoming poorer. That is my view, personal view. We have recently entered the new millennium with many expectations, hope and promises for a very happy and prosperous future. In this scenario, let us introspect and search out souls honestly and ascertain as to what extent our dreams are likely to be fulfilled. A mere glance at the past controverts all our expectations. Despite the mind-boggling scientific and technological development, which should have provided comforts and solace to one and all, the clashes and conflicts, violence and bloodshed, battles and war continue unabated. Neither there is real happiness and peace, nor any substantial or sustainable development for future generations has come up. Time-tested human values are being trampled, and the concept of morality, ethics, and character are becoming mere play of words. Just look at the state of affairs in the world today. Safe drinking water, the most basic necessity for human life, is getting scarcer each year. Disparities in distribution and availability of food among rich and poor nations and communities are increasing. Demand for the planet's limited energy resources is ever growing. New and deadly infectious diseases are emerging as killers. Our quality of life is steadily declining due to population growth and environmental degradation and social conflict sparked by economic, political, and other causes is threatening to tear apart societies in more and more nations. Reason is obvious. Humans have been slaughtering the elements of nature like the golden egg-laying goose. This is the basic reason for all this. A question was asked as to why there is drought, and due to drought, certain farmers are leaving cultivation. This is the basic reason why we are over-exploiting the land, water, and other sources, whatsoever are related with the sustainable development environment. Humans have disturbed nature's delicate balance by polluting each and every element, that is earth, water, fire, air and space. 5 तत्व जो हमारे उपनिषद भी बताते हैं. When something is exploited beyond limit, it reacts violently, causing disaster. Most of the excesses committed by human upon nature stem from such as greed, the basic, I would say the basic root for all this. Ego, not only greed but ego, anger, just an attachment over exploitation for materialistic gains, which result in grave ecological imbalance. Despite having experienced the nature's destructive power in the form of cloudburst in Kedarnath, in UP, Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir last year, just after 10 years from the, happening which happened in Punjab and Himachal also. I would be taking that point later on. Within last 1.5 years, and huge earthquake of the west coast of Indonesia, 30 kilometers beneath the Indian Ocean, raised the joint tsunami waves that hit several coasts thousands of kilometers apart, killing more than 230,000 people and displacing more than 5 million people on December 26, 2004. That is 11 years, about 11 years back. We are still continuing to overindulge in materialistic pleasures by making bigger cars, dams, buildings, digging deeper into the earth and ocean for resources. Releases more and more toxins in the air, water and soil, and explode deadlier bombs under earth and ocean. We are after every 6 months or a year, one nation or the other experiments by exploding bombs, etc. in the area and even in ocean. Instead of taking serious note of our wrong actions, corrupt and greedy attitude, we have been trying to explain calamities as aberrations that can be tackled by some technology or some smart calculations. Whenever we are faced with such natural disasters, we turn to more materialistic solutions that we fiddle with the inadequacy of and flaws. Now I come to my neighboring state, that is Punjab, which is predominantly an agricultural economy. That will answer the question which was put. Why it had been and what was the reason therein. Punjab grew in economic aspect, but it has now lost a lot in its growth because of having been affected in this process by damaging state's environment and biodiversity. You well know that there is an intimate relationship between economy, environment, and biodiversity. Growth in economic fields is adversely affected if environment and biodiversity becomes casualty in the process. farmers in the state too are least bothered about environment. That is one reason, maybe due to illiteracy, maybe due to greed, maybe due to other reasons. On the contrary, they continue to make excessive use of chemicals in the form of fertilizers and pesticides. Over and above, they have been resorting to overexploitation of land and water resources to enhance production. Their object is to get more and more production from their fields, from the land. So, for that purpose, they overexploit not only land but also water resources as well. After collecting crop, the farmers burn paddy and wheat. That is what we see in the neighboring state. They burn paddy and wheat straw, which result in emission of various types of gases, which are not only injurious to health, but also cause health hazards like respiratory, skin and eye diseases. In addition to it, burning of wheat and paddy straw has also contributed to the loss of soil fertility. Excessive use of the land makes the soil barren. Thus, excessive use of pesticides and fertilizers adversely affect the environment and human health. Similarly, emissions from paddy contains 70% of carbon dioxide, which takes several decades to disappear. 0.66% of methane and other heat-trapping gases which cause danger to ozone layer. About 14 years ago, that is in the year 2002, thickening of brown haze hanging over South Asia was observed, regarding which fact a News Scientist magazine reported. They further pointed out that brown cloud is causing significant warming, leading to faster melting Himalayan glaciers. That is still happening. I hail from that area, Himachal Pradesh, which is called Devbhumi. So, I'll be touching that aspect later on. Punjab is also a part of South Asia, because that News Science magazine pertained to that area that on October 12, 2002, people of Punjab and Haryana witnessed a strange phenomenon. What was that? A vast area of both states plunged into darkness in the afternoon. People were forced to switch on their lights, In 1999, Meteorological Department of India noted that big-sized smog was hanging over Punjab.
You could summarize it so you can take questions from the children.
Just 5 minutes. Use of pesticides is highest in Punjab. I am comparing that also. It is nearly 9.25 grams per acre, per hectare. In other states, it is not even 50% in comparison to Punjab. Several studies conducted by various institutions have found the residue of various pesticides in human beings, milk, water, vegetables, cereals, butter, and animal feed at level not safe for human beings. The environmental imbalance is man-made. Resultantly, Punjab is facing high incidence of cancer cases. Even birds like peacock, sparrows, crows, quails are not in sight due to excessive and reckless use of pesticides. Disappearance of natural predators has led to a high incidence of repeated pest attacks, not only in Punjab but also in apple belt areas of Himachal Pradesh, as well. Reason is the same, I need not repeat. Last but not the least, I now apprise you about ecological atmosphere in Shimla, alone in the state of Himachal Pradesh, where I was born, brought up, educated and served now residing as a free citizen of India. My state, that is called Dev Bhumi, the almighty abode. Earlier it is used to be called Shimla. H has been added to it and now it is known as Shimla. It was a summer capital of British Empire and now capital state of Himachal Pradesh. Ecologically, Dev Bhumi was heavily forested area and every village or town there was thinly populated. But now, with the fast growth of population, major portion of the state has been converted into concrete jungle. Overexploitation of land by unplanned construction in open areas, even in playgrounds, deforestation, digging the earth repeatedly has also resulted in ecological imbalance of Shimla and other towns in Himachal Pradesh. Construction of hydro projects and construction of multi-storied buildings and that of unplanned and over-exploitation of water, air and space has contributed in ecological imbalance. I may apprise you that during British time, I've seen in my childhood that only 3 vehicles.
I want to ask you questions actually.
Yes.
This is going beyond, a little beyond.
No.
Okay. Because
3 vehicles.
5:30, there are 10 of them wanting to ask you questions.
Right. 3 vehicles used to ply in the Shimla town, municipal limits. But now it is overcrowded with vehicles. So, I would be leaving this. So, what is the remedy therein? Humans may be powerless in preventing events of earthquakes and tsunami, but there is much we can do to minimize the effect thereof in terms of toll of death and destruction they cause. The occurrence of such tragedies in future will be all the worse if we don't seek a lesson from such like incidences. So, unless and until we put a stop to over exploitation of natural resources like air, space, land and other things which I have already told you, it cannot be stopped in any way. Thank you.
Okay. Don't be over ambitious.
My question is to the Chief Judge of India. Sir, first of all, a very good evening. I'd like to ask you that how will India sustainably develop if the people of India does not follow the law which are meant for sustainable development, whereas some people think that laws are just written text.
Again.
We'll just take the questions and then you can answer them. Come on. One by one.
My question is to the Judge of India.
Oh, you asked to repeat the questions?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, repeat the question. I thought we have 10 minutes. Let's not get over ambitious here, children, okay?
So how will India sustainably develop till 2030 if it does not follow the laws which are meant for sustainable development?
Well, it will, the over-exploitation, as I have told, will create all these what you call famines, then weather changing and other things. Unless until you yourself do not discipline yourself, it can't be individually. There are several laws, but even laws have not been able to stop it.
It has to come from within. Please, next.
It is said that more than 80% of the world people express a religion application. Doesn't this mean that the UN needs to work closely with faith communities around the world if the new global goals for sustainable development are to be achieved?
Well, one nation cannot, unless until all nations cooperate with each other. One nation by itself cannot help to achieve the object which you are asking, unless until all nations, they join together, pass an environmental what you call laws, it is unable to be achieved. This time, in the present millennium, held in say September 2015, 15 goals have been added in the agenda of the United Nations. And when, let us see what happens, what do they ultimately consider and pass law. But law which is applicable to all the nations cannot be framed, in my personal view.
So how can social transformation be approached as a universal and shared enterprise and not something driven by the haves for the benefits of the have-nots?
Have and have-nots depend upon your disciplined, what you call mind. You make yourself disciplined. You help others. If you don't help others, they will not be able to follow that principle which you are now asking me. So, say universal effort, whereby this socio-economical environment, whereby we can create it. Otherwise not.
Sir,
unless until no law can force any person.
Sir, the increasing excavation of sands and coarse sands from the river is harming them. So what steps can the judiciary take to stop it, sir, or control it? Sir, so the excavation of sands and coarse sands from our rivers, sir, is harming the rivers. So what steps can the judiciary take to
Mineral laws are there, which are applicable to each and everyone. People can file writs, they can take help of the judiciary, and if it is found to be a fact, because our so far judicial system is concerned, that is, I admit, very slow, but solution is there. You can stop it by enforcing law under the particular provision relating thereto. Yes, that is happening. That is happening at many places. So that is what I say, that corrupt-minded persons, they do not allow the other persons to take the law in every legal action against their own kith and kin, their known persons, and that is one of the greatest hindrance.
Next question, please.
Sir, in the year 2000, so India actually chose the 8 Millennium Development Goals, and now in 2015 it has to follow 17 sustainable development goals. If India is not able to, complete those 8 development goals, how can it complete 17 sustainable development goals? So don't you think that India should actually concentrate one development goal at one time and then concentrate toward others?
Suggest many developments, and even if one is achieved, even if we achieve one development, what you call environment development, well, it's a beginning. And you can hope for the success in future as well, for the other goals which have been included now in the millennium.
So because these are actually wasting our resources, like we say in economic language, we say there are unlimited wants and we have limited resources.
Again, when you say wasting your resources, how do you define it?
So my question is, why can't... So my question is that why can't judiciary have fast and transparent decision so that everybody can have faith in it?
Well, judiciary is taking, so far as judiciary is concerned, number of judges are very less. One, that is the main reason. Secondly, now it has started taking different measures through lok adalats, through, say, arbitration, redressal disputes committees, and many other forums have been made under the law, and now it will be a faster system which can deliver the goods.
So you said that pesticides are used excessively in areas, cultivatable areas.
Yes.
Pesticides are excessively used in cultivable areas, but
Pesticides are excessively used.
But pesticides are also kill pests which are necessary for human health. It's also
If pesticides are used in the fields, well, production would be a little bit slowed, but yet you will get much from that. It is the excessive exploitation of pesticides which are being used by the farmers and which has caused this exploitation of the natural resources.
So, but the use of pesticides is also a kind of a sustainable development as human health.
Well, I give you an example of your own body. If you work for say 23 hours out of 24 hours, you will feel uneasy. You will get various kinds of diseases on yourself. After say a week or 15 days, a fortnight or a month, you will be losing your health. Same is the case with the soil. So that is the kind of you have to limit the use of the pesticides and other things in the fields if you want to save your Yes, you can ask.
No, we have to conclude now. Yes, because the ma'am has to conclude now. Sorry. Let's clap very, very loudly first for the wonderful interactive session. And may I now request our chairperson, Honorable Justice Irene Mambalima, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Zambia, to kindly conclude the session for us, because it's about to be 5:30 and you children need to go a long way home. Tomorrow again we will be here for those of you who are interested and who will be coming again tomorrow. So may I request please be seated, because we will wait for our chairperson to conclude the session for you.
Okay, in conclusion, let me thank all of you for the keen interest you have shown in environmental issues, in sustainable development. It is my belief that we have pricked your mind to start thinking of your neighbor and the future and so forth. So thank you so much for your active participation. But please, it's not a talking shop. Keep thinking about these issues because they are very important to the world's survival. Thank you very much.
You will please wait. Let us clap very loud for Honorable Justice Dr. Virginia also. For Justice Sood, for our chairman, and then clap for yourselves. And thank you so much. We will just wait for the Chief Justice to leave first, right?